Curtain Network.
Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what's going on? Time for a Steelers preview. Thank you for everyone that's joining us live or is hopping in now and saying, why are they going so early? Scheduling conflicts. We decided we're going to go earlier rather than later. Here we are at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Pittsburgh time as we like to call it. I'm Jeff Hartman. Joining me as always, Dave Schofield and Bryan Davis. Dave, what's up? Welcome to the show.
Hey, let's I guess we should talk Steelers. And let's actually talk about the upcoming Steelers game, because it seems like so much of the talk around the Steelers is what's wrong in the locker room and what they're going to do for next year. But they actually are going to go out and play 60 minutes on Saturday. So let's actually remember that.
Yeah. Bryan Davis, welcome to the show.
Welcome, fellas. I'm glad Dave said that, because when I heard the intro, I was thinking of picking at Pickens, because that seems like this whole week, not picking on, but picking at and picking through Pickens and everything that he's done. And Dave's right. Let's just talk about this upcoming game. You've got Mason Rudolph starting in this game, and you've got you have a fresh 3 games to wipe the stench away.
Well, I think that the best way to do this is we're going to focus and we're going to really, narrow the focus at a week 16, Steelers Bengals. It's still a meaningful football game, the final game at Acrisure Stadium this season, barring something catastrophic happening around the Steelers. I don't think they're going to play at home again. So let's start with the injury report. Let's get it out of the way. We have another final game status report. We're not used to having this. Typically on a Sunday game, we don't have this yet, but we do now. So Dave, some really interesting names on this one. Go ahead and read those off for the Steelers.
Yeah, once again, we're going to go just with the game status, and except for a player who might be questionable. We'll talk about how they practiced to get them there. But the Steelers have 3 players already ruled out. Minkah Fitzpatrick, we knew it on Monday. Kenny Pickett, we knew there was a possibility, but chances are that wasn't going to happen, and it was confirmed today. He is ruled out for another week. And unfortunately, Trenton Thompson. So that's another safety out with a neck injury. Did not practice all week. The other player that's on the stats report is Elijah Riley. He is questionable with the ankle, but the reason he's questionable, he was limited on Tuesday, full on Wednesday and Thursday. He's not officially on the 53-man roster. He's coming off of the reserve/injured list, coming back as designated to return. So he had his practice window that was open. The only reason he's questionable is, are they going to put him on the 53? So that's really all that comes down to. Should I go ahead and throw the Bengals out here now since it's so short?
There's only one. Go ahead.
It's only one, but it's a big one. Jamar Chase is out. I think a lot of us expected that. Now I have to ask, because I should have checked this, but was it DJ Reader that got hurt last week? He was put on IR, correct?
He's done for the year with a torn quad. Yeah.
So I knew he was going to be out. I just didn't know if they had actually made that roster move yet, and they had. So that's why it's just Jamar Chase.
So let's recap the Steelers safety situation. Let's rewind the tape all the way back to week 1. Remember, everyone's talking about, the Steelers have the 3 safeties of Keanu Neal, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and DeMonte KZ. They're going to recreate Brian Flores' 3 safety look. This is going to be so great, right? Well, now let's head into the preview of week 16. Minkah out with a knee injury. KZ suspended. Keanu Neal IR. Don't worry, Trenton Thompson can play. He's out. Holy cow.
Well, hold on. Trenton Thompson was number 5. You skipped number
5?
4.
Who's number 4? Oh, Elijah Riley's
number 4, and then he's on IR.
He's coming off of IR.
So is he going to? That's the only question.
Oh my gosh. I would bet a lot of money he comes back.
Yes.
I'd bet a lot of money that he comes back. But this is going to be dire straits for the Steelers secondary. You can expect Elijah Riley to be back, in my opinion. You can expect Patrick Peterson to play a lot of safety. You can expect some crazy stuff going on in the Steelers secondary, but it is going to be
whether he's elevated or brought to the 53, we'll have to see. But
I would say
he's going to be in uniform.
And I can see for Miles Killebrew.
Yes, and Miles Killebrew
too. He'll be in the heavier packages, run stuffing. Yes. Yeah, Dave, let me ask you this question, or Brian, in case you know as well. When a player is suspended, does that vacate their spot on the 53?
I was going to bring that up, and that's something I'm still ultimately trying to determine. I assume that he goes on the suspended list. That hasn't happened yet, according to Steelers.com. But it should tomorrow by 4:00, I mean, if not, he's just inactive, but I don't think that's the case. I really don't think that's going to be what happens. So that means the Steelers should have 2 openings on their 53-man roster because I guess we mentioned that one where they cut someone today.
Oh, Anthony McFarland.
They cut Anthony McFarland today. So they freed up 2 roster spots. I'm assuming 2 that KZ will then be someone that slides into that suspended role and doesn't count on the roster.
Brian, what are you thinking about all this stuff?
Well, the first thing that I'm thinking about here is that, and this is not being a smart aleck, I'm just saying it's not like hockey when you're on a power play. That suspended guy, he's just goes off the list. You have a 53-man roster. And like Dave said, on suspended list. I'm still angry about the whole thing. I thought, it's great that they said, all right, he's not done for the playoffs if they make the playoffs, but right now that's in jeopardy. So, he's still out for 3 games. It's a very hefty suspension as far as I'm concerned, but we're not talking about, we talked about the nuts and bolts of this all week long. I'm not saying that. I just know the injury report and the suspension report really hampers this team at safety. I like the idea of Patrick Peterson being back there. They've toyed with it. They've had him at practice from time to time back there, and he's a veteran. We talked about in the offseason how we'd actually see that happening in the next 2 years. They could re-sign him as a safety. So that's makes me feel a little bit better. But gosh, Elijah Riley has got to come back. And Jeff ran this special report back in July about how Elijah Riley is possibly a guy that they really, really like and are thinking about for the future of this team. And when he's in there and he's not hurt, he's not particularly bad, but it is still dire straits.
Yeah. Dave, what's your take on all this injury stuff?
Well, you've got to try to do what you can do to get players out there. And believe it or not, the Steelers are 3-1 without Minkah Fitzpatrick this year. So you would think, oh, well, maybe they have a way to figure it out. But it's not just Minkah Fitzpatrick. Because right. Minkah Fitzpatrick, Keanu Neal, Devontae Casey, Trenton Thompson played great when he had to step in when Minkah was out. Now finding a role for him since then and, tape on him, however that goes, whatever the reasoning is behind that has been another thing. But you know what might be the most concerning? I have to admit, what's probably going to be the most concerning is having to play Patrick Peterson at safety, meaning that you're going to get more Levi Wallace at corner.
Yeah, barf.
Yeah.
So I do think it's important also to note that a bit of news that we covered at steelcurtainnetwork.com, make sure you check that website out, is that Cam Hayward cleared concussion protocol. Yes. I was actually really shocked because typically on a seven-day work week, they do not clear the protocol. It normally takes them a little bit of time. It all depends. It depends on the diagnosis. Dave's gone over all that. He's put it in the articles. You can check it out. But Cam Hayward was cleared by, as they always say, an independent neurologist, and he is cleared to be back on the field. But let's take a break here for a second because that's big. Getting Cam Hayward back is always going to be important for team morale, for play on the field. But I want to ask you all about Mason Rudolph. Can we talk about Mason Rudolph for a second? Because Kenny Pickett being ruled out means that it's Mason Rudolph. We never even gave this guy a middle name on the Steelers preview back in 2019 because, well, it didn't matter that much.
And
what?
He doesn't have a middle name. Mason's his middle name.
What's his first name?
I can't remember, but I'll
have it in about 15 seconds.
So anyways, I'll start with you, Brian, as Dave looks it up, unless you have it already, Dave.
I beat you. Brett.
You're right. Brett Mason Rudolph the third.
The third?
The third.
He's the third?
He's the third.
Okay, fair enough. So, Brian, we'll throw it to you first. What's your confidence level in Mason Rudolph entering this game on Saturday?
Believe it or not, my confidence level is higher than if it was Mitch Trubisky. Like I said last week on the
low bar.
Yeah. It's funny. Brian Brown just said Mason Pretty Boy Rudolph. My mom thinks he's hot. And I think so. She's happy, I guess, and she's 76.
That's better than the reverse of it, though, right?
Yeah.
If Mason Rudolph thought your mom was high,
I'd be impressed. I would love that.
Now we're getting into what, Zach Wilson territory? Is that?
Oh yeah, Cougar time.
Oh, that's not MILF. That's GILF.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. So let's get back on track.
All right. Now it's a little bit too far. Okay.
Okay. My confidence is, you know what? We've seen him let it fly before. I think he's more accurate actually than Mitch Trubisky, and I really feel like, gosh, they might have a better chance than if it was Mitch. But still, that the chance isn't huge. But it's not Trace McSorley at this point, which we might be seeing him in week 18.
Yeah, I guess you never know. Dave, what about you? What's your confidence level in Mason?
My confidence level in Mason has a very low floor, yet a very high ceiling. If I'm going to give you a nice Dave answer there, I like what you said about more confidence than Mitch. The thing is with Mason is, are you going to see scared Mason Rudolph, who kept saying in his interviews in 2019, can't turn the ball over? Coach Randy keeps saying, don't turn the ball over. Coach Randy keeps saying, take care of it. That they had him so wound up tight about not turning the ball over. Guess what he ended up doing? Turning the ball over. I'm hoping that you get, 4-year-older Mason Rudolph that comes out there realizing, hey, nobody took a flyer on me last year in the offseason as a free agent. I had to come back here to be QB3. I'm getting a chance to go out there. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play so much more than the guy in front of me, like I got a pair, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to let her rip. Now, it could end up really bad doing that, but I hope he has that mentality, because this really could be his last shot. And I think he knows it. He said in interviews before, I'm happy to be in the NFL, not taking it for granted, like a certain number 55 last year, and things of that nature. So I want to see him go out there and grab this opportunity for what it's worth. Will it work out is the ultimate question. But I want to see him have that attitude about it. If he has that attitude, then I have more confidence that it's possible. If you go out there and get a scared and timid Mason Rudolph, which I felt like we got in 2019 after the horrendous, I'm not talking about the helmet swinging hit. I'm talking about the
concussion.
Yeah, Earl Thomas hit.
Yeah.
After that you just didn't have someone that was playing in the same way. I'm hoping that's so far removed that we can see that type of Mason Rudolph. I don't know if we will. I don't know if he's capable of it, but I'd like to see him try.
He has, and I said this about Mitch Trubisky last week when he was starting against Indianapolis. He's getting another shot. He's getting a new lease on life, and not a lot of these quarterbacks get to do this. I'll reference Brian's boy, who won a game for his squad this past weekend. Case Keenum, who wins a game, and Brian loves Case Keenum. Case Keenum and Jacoby Brissett and all these guys that are very much that ilk of backup quarterbacks are these guys that get called into these roles where we need a veteran because we have a young quarterback and maybe we have to go with you first. And, they can still win games. Mitch Trubisky proved last week and more than last week that he's not capable of that anymore. He's not that guy. He is that guy that's a QB2, QB3 on your roster, break glass if in case of emergency. And really, I think he's more QB3 than he is QB2, because if I think about a good quarterback too, even Joshua Dobbs can go in and win you a couple games before handing the reins back over to the starter. Mason Rudolph, no one thought he'd get another chance. I didn't. Not with Mitch there, Kenny as a starter heading into this season. And yet here it is. Dave, I hope you're right. Going with thinking, hey, I'm playing with house money right now. No one's giving me a shot anyways, so I might as well go down swinging. No one wants to see timid Mason Rudolph. That's the same thing as Mitch Trubisky when he's just a normal Mitch Trubisky. The one thing that...
For maybe throwing off his back foot. Okay.
The one thing that Mason Rudolph does better than any other quarterback on the Steelers roster is what a deep ball he has.
Yeah.
The dude can throw a beautiful deep ball. And when I think back to last preseason, George Pickens, that first catch in the end zone against the Seahawks in the preseason, who threw it? Mason Rudolph. When I think about Calvin Austin III in the preseason, Tampa Bay, I believe, big pass down the field, who threw that? Mason Rudolph. The dude can air it out. I really hope that they come out and say, you know what, got a quarterback with a different skill set. Everyone's thinking it's going to be this intermediate, real short throws. That is not Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph is a play action, 7-step drop, wing it. So let's see it. Get Calvin Austin on the field a lot. Like, put him out there a good bit so that he's able to actually go out there and not be, red flag, 19's on the field. Get ready for something. It's going to be a trick play. It's going to be a go deep. Get him on the field more. And that kind of segues. Before we leave Mason, Brian, do you have anything to add, or Dave, about Mason Rudolph before I segue into my next topic?
No, Mitch has been fired, and so this is his chance to go ahead and get something done.
Yeah. Dave, anything else?
No, I'm going to bring up a random comment that has nothing to do with this, and I don't even care about the comment because it's from Steeler Tank, but I just wanted to bring it up because look at that guy in that picture and how exquisite he looks. And then he's standing next to some jabroni with the 97 jersey. But yeah, so just wanted to throw that out there with Steeler Tank. One of the people that over the years now been meeting up with people at what was Heinz Field and Acrisure Stadium over the years. It's great anytime we can. Unfortunately, none of us are going to be there this Saturday, though.
No.
So that means we'll all be here for the post.
Which means the Steelers are going to win. Hot dog. Although if Rich was going, if Rich was going, it would be like they're definitely going to win. Yeah, he has a great record this year.
I've got a victory this year. I'm 1-1.
You lost to the Patriots. You lost to the Patriots, Brian. You can't talk about it.
You're on a streak. The Steelers have a victory this year too. Oh, they had 6 out of 9 at one point. Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Let's get this super chat here. Big E Bronco gives us $5. Said Mason Rudolph should go out there and let it rip. Like, this is the last time he'll ever step on an NFL field. And I agree. And that's kind of what we've been saying, is that you just gotta see what it's like.
And if he screws it up, and if he goes out there and he looks really bad, wouldn't you live the rest of your life as an ex-NFL player, whether that would be sooner or later for Mason Rudolph, knowing that in your last chance going out there, what could be his last chance going out there for Pittsburgh, he went for it, rather than live the rest of your life saying, man, if only I'd have been more aggressive when I had that opportunity 2 days before Christmas in 2023, how would everything have turned out? So come on, Mason. I'm not, it's not that I'm saying you will be fantastic and win this game. I'm saying go for it. Go for it. I'd rather see him fall flat on his face going for it than the Steelers just do what they've done all season with their boring brand of offensive football.
Go, Brian.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this real quick. Two things with Mason Rudolph. The first thing is if he goes ahead and goes in there and plays just well enough and good, and then you could say, all right, he could be your third string quarterback going forward next year. When you know they're going to bring somebody else in, they're not going to have Mitch next year, or you probably feel that they're not going to have Mitch. So, I kind of feel that he is playing for his football life, but his Steeler life too, because it's a great audition for next year to say, all right, hey, maybe we're fine and we only have to bring one quarterback in. And that's kind of what I'm thinking there. And as far as, Mason Rudolph in this game, I'm really looking for him to just go in there and actually be pretty calm about it and feel pretty good going in. And, he should be good.
Yeah. Let's go to the next topic, which is, I was talking about Calvin Austin III and seeing him more often, and that's going to lead to, well, how's he going to get on the field? And then that makes me think about this game, focusing on this game. But I do have to ask you all what you would do if you were Mike Tomlin. If you were Mike Tomlin and George Pickens has had the week plus that he's had, going back to the Indianapolis game and the not blocking for Jaylen Warren and the comments made, all that stuff. 2-part question. Well, first part is, would you have any disciplinary action for him that would impact the team? So not just like, okay, you're going to get fined, whether it's, bench, whatever. And if the answer is yes, what would that be if you were Mike Tomlin? Dave, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. I would not do any discipline with George Pickens at this time that would hurt the team.
Okay.
And I bet you anything he's been disciplined in some way. We just don't know what it is. But I would, and people are like, oh, you've got to call for his benching or sit him. Jeff, even your idea I heard on Let's Ride about sit him for a quarter. That's not a bad idea. But at the same time, you are starting your third quarterback of the season right now. You are not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, even though most of the fan base has written you off as being a contender in that regard, and an overwhelming majority of the NFL. You don't take your one last shot and ruin everybody else's chance because of George Pickens, unless the discipline of George Pickens is actually going to make the team better. To be like, oh, this guy, we just can't keep putting up with this. And the only one who can really get a feel for that is Coach Tomlin. Maybe sitting him for a while or something else doesn't hurt the team because of what's going on in the locker room that we don't see and can't hear. Bottom line is, I trust that something's going to happen. We might not know what it is, but if George Pickens and if Mason Rudolph needs George Pickens out there with everything else, and it's going to make the team better, then you've got to handle it in another way without making everybody else suffer, because that's not fair to those other 52 guys.
Fair enough. Brian, what about you?
Yeah, this isn't college, but I think you need to protect George Pickens in a way, and hear me out on this one. I don't think you introduce him. I don't think you let him come out of the tunnel. And this is probably because if they're going offense, defense, or what have you, the last game that I was at, they brought out the defense. So I'm thinking that you don't want to do what you did. You actually want to do what you did when you protected Deontay Johnson by not having him come out. And I think George Pickens is very fragile. He's very young. He's very fragile. And we're seeing what we're having here. His comments, I mean, they are very iron team, and we know that, and there's a problem, and you feel really good when you hear Jaylen Warren come out and say, I block for him. Yeah. And he would.
I loved that answer.
And so it's things like that. Tomlin is very smart with this as far as taking care of these players. A lot of you don't think that he has these tough conversations with these players, but he really does. Talked to him last Wednesday. This Wednesday, I'm sure it was a much harsher conversation, and Mike Tomlin doesn't want to talk about it to the media. And I'm fine with that, as long as he's doing something and as long as he's taking care of it. The inmates are not running the asylum, and now you have people inside the locker room that are making comments. TJ Watt saying to Rich Eisen how we don't practice right because some people don't think we should practice as hard as we should. And that shows it when you're not blocking, when you're walking off the field, Deontay, George, anything like this. And then you hear the criticism from Merrill Hodge, which Merrill Hodge likes to criticize a lot, criticize on the tight ends being soft, including Pat Freiermuth, in that list of not playing that hard enough. So rest assured, Mike Tomlin is taking care of this, but Dave's right. You cannot take him out and just forfeit to make a point, because that's not what this is about. I'm not saying forfeit the game, but forfeit a quarter, forfeit what have you. He needs to do the internal work right now. I'm talking about Tomlin, to make George Pickens do the external work on the football field in stadium, like Mike Tomlin likes to say, and to press upon him that, hey, I'm not letting you come out of that tunnel because I'm not letting you get booed. And the things that you're doing right now are going to get you booed. You need to earn back the respect of your teammates, and you need to earn back the respect of those fans, and you need to earn back your respect for yourself and get on out there and play like the guy I drafted you to be. And I have a feeling that's the kind of conversation that he had. A lot of you aren't going to believe me on that, but those are the things that do go on internally. We just don't see it.
So if I'm Mike Tomlin and I want to be back next year and maybe even beyond next year, there is no way, in my opinion, that I can justify George Pickens playing in the first drive, the first whatever, without some visible sign of this type of action is not tolerated. Bryan, I believe you. I'm sure there were terse comments and some yelling and screaming, whatever. I guarantee you that happened. Clearly, though, if you listen to TJ Watt and what he told Rich Eisen, a lot of that's falling on deaf ears. Okay? Dave, I agree with you as well. The Steelers are still technically in the playoff push, and they cannot lose another game. But I, as a coach, with 52 other players on the active roster, they have to be looking at me saying, what is he going to do? This is like Jaylen Warren. Let's use him as an example. The dude that probably scores a touchdown against Indianapolis if George Pickens just does his job for one play. Instead, he's standing there watching. And so Jaylen Warren is probably wondering, well, what's going to happen when this guy totally flops on the block, just completely gives up. Another play chasing down an interception, just kind of jogs off to the sideline, makes the comments he does in the media. What's going to happen if the answer is, well, we're going to have some hard conversations and I'm not going to introduce you to the team or to this, you're not going to get introduced coming out of the locker room. And he's out there the first snap that the Steelers have the football. I'm saying, what the hell is this? Like, what is this? Then it's inmates running the asylum to me. Because when I was, you have to make difficult decisions sometimes. And sometimes you have to go back to even if you were a high school coach. And if one of your best players is being an absolute a-hole in the classroom or a turd in the hallway or, being an absolute jerk, you have to sit them. And it's going to hurt your team, but you can't let the rest of the team see that, wow, that guy, because he's so good, is getting away with everything. I'm not saying that George Pickens should sit the whole half, should sit the majority of the game or a whole game. Like some people are saying he should be inactive. That's poppycock. Like that. No, he's really good. You want him on the field, but you do have to send a message to the locker room. Now, if Mike Tomlin has mailed it in and he says, this is my last year, like I'm not going to be a lame duck coach next year without a contract. I really don't want to be here after this season. I'm probably going to step away from the game. Then he can do whatever he wants. But if he wants to be back, I think this is a moment in time where he can send a message. And I know Dave wants to say something, so go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah, because I want to, talk even from coaching at the high school level.
Yes, we've both done it.
To make sure that my point that I was trying to say with that is I'm like, you can't do something to George Pickens that hurts the team, but sometimes playing him hurts the team. Yeah. So that's why you have to figure that out. Prime example, I was coaching the freshman team. We had a coach coaching the JV team. There was a kid that they thought quit every week. He would play on Wednesday. He would not be at practice on Thursday. He would not be at practice on Friday. The kids would tell the coach, yeah, he's not coming to practice anymore. He quit. He wouldn't be at practice on Monday. He would not be at practice on Tuesday. They'd go to play again the next Wednesday. And he shows up in the locker room getting dressed for the game. And he was a quarterback. And he started him. And the thing is, you're like, what? But why? Because he was really good is why the coach started him. But you know what he lost? He lost the rest of the team.
Right.
Because the rest of the team was like, this is ridiculous. So that's the point that we don't know if it's that point with the team. When it's too much to where the team is like, this is ridiculous, you have to do more because the team knows that's in their favor, not against them. So that's what that delicate balance is from a coach that's right there in the mix of it.
But that's a good point. But Jaylen Warren's comments, that spoke volumes to me. Like that's a guy that would kill for his teammates. You can tell by the way he plays the game. Yep. And when he said, I would have blocked for him, I guess he's a different type of player. Like, whoa. Oh my gosh, stab me in the heart. Like, don't say that about me. Say whatever you want. Call me a jerk, but don't say that. Now, I don't think George Pickens cares, but still. Bryan, did you want to add something?
No, I'm good.
Let's get these super chats before we take a break. Eamon J. Singh gives us $4.99, said if players are not practicing hard, isn't that on the coaches? Yeah, I mean, practice habits. I mean, you can only say, like, come on, let's pick it up. Come on, we got to go. Like, you can only do it so many times.
I was going to say, not necessarily. You can have a kid that's not putting forth much effort. I'm going back to high school coaching because that's what Jeff and I have done.
Yeah,
it's not putting forth much effort in practice or a group of people, whatever. You could run them to death. You could put them in the drill over and over and over again. And guess what? If they aren't going to play hard, you could yell at them and do it all till you're blue in the face, and they're making the choice to not play hard. So that's an example of where it's not necessarily the coaches, but there could be examples where it is. So that's why my answer is not necessarily. It's not a universal answer to that question.
Biggie Bronco gives us $5. Says Mike Tomlin should be back, bringing Gary Kubiak to consult for the offense and bring in Brian Griese to be the offensive coordinator. Brian Griese's a name I've heard on more than one occasion. And I think it's important to, when you're talking about where they're going to go, we'll have plenty of time to decipher that. But I do want to bring up this comment because, it's totally spot on. And John S. says, Jeff can comment on this since he played football. We all remember where we were when the 8th grade pick six occurred. You're damn straight. You remember where you were when that pick six occurred. It secured the undefeated season for the Bridge Street Middle School Red Devils in Wheeling, West Virginia. You can look it up. There's a statue.
There's a statue.
There's a statue. Me stiff arming, like Heisman Trophy.
I'm gonna have to call Pamela and see if we can get some photos here.
Middle school.
Yeah.
Fall of 96, maybe?
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think so. I think I graduated in 97. I don't know.
No, it's great. No, take what year you graduated, and if it was in the fall, subtract 3.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you mean? In high school?
Yeah.
I graduated high school in 2001.
Okay. So then it might have been fall. Oh,
90.
Okay. Fall of 98, perhaps. Because spring of...
No, because my brother and I were in high school at the same time, and he graduated in 98. So it might have been 97. I think it was fall of 97. All right.
Yeah, I was in college. You don't want to know what I was doing at that time.
I didn't know. No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh, I was
Ryan saved the beehive stories for another time. All right.
Yeah.
Jeff, you stole my thunder and you lost us $5 because I was going to pledge $5 and bring that one up. That's the super chat there.
Yeah, the pick
it was
six.
sandwiched around the one super chat. Yeah,
I knew when Jeff read it because he was smiling and I was smiling at the same time.
All right, hey, let's take a quick break. For those watching live on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, we're not going anywhere. For those on the audio side, hear a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. All right, Steeler fans, welcome back. It is time for the, sometimes good, best segment. I don't know, half of the show where we do the over-under game. We talk about our predictions and we do some Steelers trivia. And Dave, I'm looking at my sheet here. I don't even know if I want to hear how I did because it was rough.
Well, because you pounded the over the whole time?
I was just hammering the over last week, and boy, did I look stupid.
You got one.
That's about right.
The only one you got was Steeler sacks.
Yes.
You took the over.
So Brian you got one. Me up.
Brian and I each got 3.
Hey, good for you.
So my overall lead opens up a little bit more, but Brian and Jeff are much closer now.
Oh,
Brian's only one behind Jeff. So it's Brian with 26, Jeff with 27, and I'm at 32.
Okay. So this one's tough. The Steelers are just so unpredictable right now.
Oh, wait. One thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
You've got to give some kudos to the odds makers out there. Not you particularly this time, Jeff, but you hit some good lines in the past. But what was the over-under on this game?
The last game was 42.5.
And what was the total?
Last week?
Yeah.
42.5.
No, but what was the actual total?
Oh, what was it? What was the final? 30-10?
That was 30-13.
30-13. Dang, they do know what they're doing. They do know what they're doing.
They know.
Like that's why you brought up.
I missed an over/under on Sunday because who was it that freaking missed the extra point that caused it to go under instead of over?
You mean Boswell?
Oh no! On a Sunday game.
Oh,
I missed the over/under on a Sunday game because of a missed extra point.
Well, you were also the one that said, how much does Mike Tomlin have on the over when he called those timeouts at the end of the Colts game? And they were like, fine, you're going to call timeouts. We're going to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's do this. Over under for Steelers versus Bengals in week 16. Here we go. Let's go with Brett Rudolph, the third. We're just doing passing yards here. I've got 205.5. 205.5. And I don't know. I've got a hunch here, but we'll let Bryan go first.
I'm going to over because I think he's going to sling the pig. I just don't feel like I don't know if it's going to be a winning effort, but I think he'll complete a whole lot more than what Mitch would.
All right. Dave?
All right, I'm making sure I get this down right. You said 205.5, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Bryan took the over. That one's tough.
Gosh,
Believe it or not, I think I'm going to take the over because I think if this was a team that I thought they could just run the ball and have the lead, I don't expect the Steelers to have the lead. So I think you might just have to fling it, maybe connect on one or two deep ones. I'm going to take the over.
Going under.
Oh,
I'm going
just
under.
breaking the trend.
Going under. I thought that last week, but heck, Mitch was trailing, and you think they got to throw it to come back in. The dude didn't. What do you have, like 150 yards passing last week or something like that? It was bad.
Something like that.
I don't even want to look it up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with Pittsburgh Steelers team rushing yards, 120.5. 120.5. Bryan, over under.
I am actually going to go with the under here. I feel like they can penetrate, but I don't know how deep. So I'm just going to go ahead and say under.
That's it. I'm going to say that's what she said. And let's go. Dave, what is your penetration prediction here for the Steelers rushing yards?
I probably should have taken the under on the Rudolph because I am going to take the over on the rushing. I don't know that the Steelers are going to get anyone rushing more than 70 yards, but I think they can hit 121 as a team.
I'm going to go over as well. I think the Steelers do run the ball well. DJ Reader not being in the lineup should help this
he's good.
Offensive line because he's a monster. All right, next, go to the third one. Pittsburgh Steelers sacks of Mr. Browning or any Bengals quarterback. Set it at 2.5.
Let's go over with the 3.
Okay. Dave?
The Steelers, they haven't even hit 40 sacks yet this year. You know what? I'm going to go under because I think they're going to be throwing the ball quick enough based on the weak middle of the field in the passing game.
I'm going to say that TJ Watt might do this himself, but I'm going over. I'm going to go over. I think that they're due, and TJ Watt typically plays well against Cincinnati. He typically plays well against Cincinnati.
If you look at what we have so far, every single one of them, we have 2 overs and an under, and a different one of us has been the under every time so far.
Well, let's see if this trend continues. Steelers takeaways. I've got the line at 1.5. What do you think, Bryan?
I don't like this for takeaways, especially with the disarray. I'm going to have to go under.
Dave?
Bengals are tied for first in protecting the football, least amount of turnovers this season. I'm going under.
I, too, am going under because I listened to the Stat Geek this morning. And
if they get one, they're doing well.
Yeah.
They might not even do that.
Absolutely. And let's go with, let's have a fun one. Okay, Christmas is here, folks. Defensive touchdowns. Set it at 0.5. Bryan, does the defense break through and actually score a touchdown?
I'm going to have to say under.
Dave?
You can't change it now. I'm taking the under. But if you would have said defense or special teams, I might have taken the over.
I'm taking the under. I don't think that they score, although if they do, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Seriously, if you don't include special teams, I would have thought about it more.
It would be really awesome if Joey Porter Jr. had a pick 6 in this game. And because because they're playing the Bengals and because of the history with his dad, and he was at the William Gay era and Christmas coming up, he does the old, remember William Gay's antler dance and stuff. And that would be fun.
I have to say this, though.
Speaking it into existence.
Yeah. If you were the Cincinnati Bengals and you look at the Steelers defense, why would you throw anywhere close to Joey Porter?
I don't know. Jake Browning might not be the smartest cat ever.
I think he knows well enough what he's doing.
Maybe. We'll see. With no Jamar Chase. I mean, he targeted when Jamar Chase was in the lineup. When that's Jamar Chase, I get it. But T. Higgins, does he trust T. Higgins like he trusts Jamar Chase? We'll see.
We'll see.
So there
Last game, there was no T. Higgins. This game, there's no Jamar Chase.
Correct. So we'll see.
But
Just
remember,
play hard.
T. Higgins was the one who accused him of giving up.
Yeah.
Last year. Was that last year?
Well, Tyler Boyd had some poignant comments.
No, you're right. It was Tyler Boyd. It was the former.
And he was talking again this week, saying that this team camaraderie is no good. Anyways, let's talk about some predictions now. The Cincinnati Bengals, the line that I had might have changed, but I've got the Bengals -2 in Pittsburgh. So the Steelers are home dogs here with a total of 37. All right, Mr. Davis, go ahead. What's your prediction?
I am going to go with the under here, and I'm going to go with, unfortunately, I'm going to go with a Pittsburgh Steelers loss here. So let's go ahead and say, I'm trying to do the math in my head, 37. So we're going to go 24-13.
Oh.
Is it 37.5?
No, it's just if that happens, that's going to be absolutely awful.
You took the push. You took the push.
Oh, I took a push. Well, then I don't.
No, you're fine.
24-16.
That puts you
Actually,
over.
you know what? I like 23-17. Let's go with that.
Which one is it?
I have no clue. I can't do math in my
head. Spin the wheel. See what we get.
Okay.
40.
Final answer.
But the total is 37.
Okay. I'd say go with the 24.
23-13.
23-13. Okay. That's a good one.
Okay, Dave, what's your prediction?
I don't know. I just something about this tells me that the Steelers might score some more points than they have because, like we said, the Bengals defense isn't that great, but they do keep teams from scoring points. I think the Steelers could get up there with their points better than they have been, but I still don't think that it's enough to win the game. I'm majorly pounding the over on this one, and I'm going Bengals 30-24.
Bengals 30, Steelers 24. Wow. They put up
24 Steelers keep giving
points.
up 30, so might as well.
They put up 24. That would be just like huge for that Steelers team.
And you'll be like, oh, they scored points, but the defense couldn't.
What a breakout game that would be for the Steelers, which is funny. Okay, so time for the real fan to make his prediction. And this is a game. I thought this would have been last game where you're kind of like, man, this is a Tomlin special, right? No one's predicting him, all this stuff, backs against the wall, team in turmoil, so to speak. It didn't happen last week. We know that. But I think it happens this week. I think that the Steelers and their pass rush, they're going to have to lean on that pass rush really, really to the max. Like it's going to be paramount on defense. And then on offense, I think they run the ball well enough. I've actually wrote this down before I looked up the total. Steelers 20, Bengals 17, which is a straight up push in the over-under with the total of 37. And so I think the Steelers aren't going to go down. I don't think they're going to lose the rest of their games. I think if there's a game that they could win, I think it's at home here against the Bengals. We'll see if it plays out. But there you go. I take the Steelers 20-17.
But look at the Steelers' progression.
Oh, it's not good.
You could, assuming Baltimore is going to have something to play for, you could look at the Steelers' last 6 games and make an argument that the ease of the game has gotten more difficult each and every one. It means a toss-up between Arizona, New England, Indy, Cincinnati, who I think is a little bit better than Indy, then Seattle, who I thought was really falling off until Monday night, which I didn't watch any of that game now, and then Baltimore. So you keep saying this is when they could come back. Each week it seems like it's just a little bit more difficult than the week before.
We'll see. All right, let's do some Steelers trivia to finish out the show. Brian, go ahead.
All right, so this game is being played on December 23rd at home, and it's the 51st anniversary of the Immaculate Reception.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Steelers did not play on that anniversary last year. They played a day later, and they did play the same team. But how many times do you think the team has played since that fateful day at the confluence of the 3 rivers? And what do you think their record is?
So the record on the 23rd of December.
Yes. Since the 1972.
I'm going to say they've
Right, so
played,
you're
I don't know,
talking
8.
I'm going to go 10. And I'm going to say their record is 8-2.
Gentlemen, you both went over. It's actually 6.
6.
And their record is 4-2 in that time.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the last two, they were 4-0, and the last 2 games were losses. One of those games, not the last one. The last one was that Juju fumble in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
Where they lost that game 28-31. But the game before was 2012, and it's going to be played on the 11th anniversary of the Steelers losing 13-10 at home to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ew.
Before that, 1990 Cleveland 35-0. 2001 Detroit 47-14. Tampa Bay, the famous Monday night game, the paper champions game 17-7. And 2010 27-3. All in all, in that time, 164-68 is the point total. So the Steelers have scored 164, only given up 68. And this is the Steelers' last home game, last regular season home game of the year. What do you think their record is since 1970? Excuse me. I'm sorry, in the Mike Tomlin era on their last game of the year. Their last regular season game of the year.
Since 2007, the
last regular season home game of the year?
Last regular season home game.
Oh, they've been winning a lot of those. I've been at several of those. Let's see. Because when I think of them dropping the last one of the seasons, those were on the road, like in 2019.
I'm going to say they only have 3 losses in those games.
So we're talking, is it fit? Okay, 2007 to now. Is it 16 or 15 that we're talking about? Because we don't know this one. I'm trying to do the math.
16.
This will be 16.
This
right?
will be 17. So they played.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Games.
So they have 16. So
yes.
I'm going to say they're 13-3. They win a lot of their last home games.
Jeff?
I said 3 losses as well.
So you're going 13-3?
Mm-hmm.
It's 14-2.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
I'm not surprised.
All
Just
right.
Thinking back on them.
Good trivia, Brian.
When's the last time they lost their last home game, Brian, of the season?
Well, actually, with Mike Tomlin, the very first loss was his very first season, and I don't believe that it happened again until recently. Oh, I can tell you when it was. Dave and I, we spooned that night. It
was that their last home game
yes,
of the
that was their
season?
last home game. They played their last 2 games at New York Jets and at Baltimore.
You're right. They were both on the road.
Game, the Wildcat game.
Yes. So you're right. That one was that because I knew it was earlier than we were now. So it's like, okay. I didn't think about that being their last home game of the season. So,
all right, Dave, what's your trivia?
Okay, my trivia is this. I decided I was going back all the way to 1970, and it was just taking a good bit of time. So I decided to ask a question that Jeff probably has no chance of answering, and Brian ran away.
No.
So, no, because you can actually guess the number. I decided to just go back to 2000. Going back to 2000, the Pittsburgh Steelers are scheduled to, I got to say this, they are scheduled to start their 3rd quarterback of the season this week.
Yeah.
That this year they will have the 3rd starting quarterback of the season. In the 24 seasons, including this one, so you can count that one as one, in the 24 seasons from 2000 through 2023, how many times have the Steelers started 3 different quarterbacks during the year?
Well, definitely 2019.
Yep, because I'll ask you if you know what years, but yeah, 2019. And well, I told you we're going to go ahead and give you 2023. We're going to go ahead and count this one.
The year, what was that, 2010? No. Yes, 2010, because wasn't that Ben got suspended that year, so they had to play Dennis Dixon. Charlie Batch also played. Mm-hmm. So that was one.
Yes, 2010. And
Yes.
let's see, did you get that? And it was, Batch started 2, Dixon started 2, and Roethlisberger started 12.
What about 09? Ben had a concussion. I remember that year. I think he got knocked out of a couple games.
That one, he only missed one game in 09,
Okay.
and Dennis Dixon started that one.
I am going to go with 2004 because if I'm not mistaken, did Brian St. Pierre start a game there?
Brian St. Pierre did not start for the Steelers.
Okay.
Maddox came back in that last week.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was not.
There's got to be one. I remember Landry Jones playing in Kansas City, and it was atrocious. And I'm just trying to think if there was a third quarterback that started that season. I think that was like.
So far, you guys have 3.
How many are there?
That was my question. How many are there?
We were just kind of trying to figure it out.
Let's say 5.
You'll say Brian will say 5. Jeff will take the shot of
4.
I
think Byron started.
You're missing 3.
So there's 6.
So there's 6. So you've got 3, and there's 3.
What was the year that Leftwich started against the Ravens and got hurt on that scamper down the field? That season with Michael Vick and Ben, I think, started some games that year. What year was that, Brian? That would have been 3.
2015.
2015.
Yeah, because Landry
is a correct year.
Vic and Ben.
2015 is one of the years, but who did you say the 3 were?
I said Byron. I said Byron, but I missed that one. That wasn't the Byron year.
It was Landry, Vic, and Ben.
You were correct. Landry, Vic, and Ben in 2015. So you're missing 2 years.
What year was the Byron Leftwich year? Because
I think Byron Leftwich only ever started 1 game for the Steelers.
Yeah. So my question is, was there another?
And it was
starter?
In a year where they had 3 starters.
That's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure that was a year that Byron Leftwich was starting, and it's like, well, Charlie Batch wasn't there, or
he didn't show up until like 2011.
You've named 11. You know the 3 quarterbacks. You just got to know the year.
Yeah, that's the
I'd say 12. Let's go with 12.
You're right. It's 12. Was
that the year that
Leftwich 1, Batch 2, and Roethlisberger 13?
Gosh, what is the year that Landry Jones started in Kansas City? That is,
I think that's the one you already got.
That's 15.
Was that
2015?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had the Raiders game. He started again, and then Ben had to come in relief of him. And that was the 38 to 35
Browns game that Ben had to relief.
The Browns game
that was in 2016.
Landry Jones in the first drive. Left
the Raiders game. Landry came in relief. Ben got hurt in the Raiders game, the 38 to 35, when Antonio Brown set records.
So we missing 1?
You got 1 more year. If I told you the 3 quarterbacks, I bet you would get the year.
I'm sure we would.
So St. Pierre never started.
Nope.
Was there another year that it was Dixon, Batch, and Ben?
No.
Now, 2005, Maddox,
Ben, and Batch in this year. What are you saying, Brad?
Was it 2005 with Maddox, Batch, and Ben?
Yep, that's it. That's the other one.
What game did Maddox start?
He started 2 games that year.
No, I mean Batch start, because I know
Batch started 2 games that year too.
Okay.
Batch was 2, Maddox was 2, Roethlisberger was 12.
Okay.
I have a follow-up question.
So
if the Steelers, 6 out of 24, they had 3 quarterbacks start. How many seasons from 2000 through 2023 did they have 1 quarterback start every game?
Since 2000 to 23?
Ben did it recently. Wasn't it Ben's last season? Didn't Ben start every game in 2021?
I think so.
First, I'm asking you for how many.
No,
we Ben did not start every game in 2000.
We didn't even get the last one, did we?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, 2005. Because Brian, you were at the game in 2021 that he didn't start.
Oh, yeah, I was. That's right. The tie.
Yeah.
Oh, the tie.
Okay. So how many seasons do you think they had where they had only one quarterback start games?
2. No. 1.
Yeah, I'll just go 2, but I think 2020's then one of them. All right.
Okay. Are you ready? Same answer as before. 6.
Wow. Good Lord.
6 seasons in there that they only had one quarterback start. 2020, that is negatory because in 2020, Mason Rudolph started one as well.
Okay.
Rudolph started a game in 20 and in 2021.
That's correct, because it was a loss against the
that they should have. I mean, they almost knocked the Browns out of the playoffs that game because Mason did everything to win that game.
What about 2003?
2003, that is correct. One
Yeah!
Jefferson Bartholomew Hartman.
Tommy Gunn.
Season, yeah. Tommy Gunn started all 16.
And didn't he also start in 2000 and was it 1? Didn't he didn't miss a game that year, did
he?
2001.
No, that was Cordell's year.
The correct answer, but not
it was Cordell.
It was Cordell.
So
the honest. So as you guys have figured out, the other 4 are all Ben. So what years did Ben start every game?
Well, it's not 2006 because he was out. 2007. I'm going to say
2007. He started 15. Batch had a start.
08?
Yeah, I'd go with 08. Yeah.
Started all 16 in 08. 3 more.
14?
No. 14 is correct. Jeff, did you say something?
I was going to say 11.
2011, they had he started 15. Batch started 1.
No. I'm out of guesses.
I'll go with 18.
2018 is the most recent one. That's correct. And the one you're missing was just before. They actually went back to back years of not missing a game.
17.
Nope. In 2013 and 2014.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
And I went back to 70, and at least go back to 70, the Steelers had never started 4 quarterbacks in a season. So I hate to tell you that, Trace McSorley.
There's still hope. All right.
So tell me there's a chance.
Yeah. Okay, let's finish with some final thoughts here. Brian, go ahead.
We are all frustrated as hell with this football team. We are already, a lot of us are talking about next year, about this being Tomlin's last year, about trading George Pickens. A win this week would mean a whole lot, being that it is on that special anniversary, and it could give a lot of people a Merry Christmas in the Steel City and beyond, wherever you're following this team. So I picked against this team, but I'm going to be rooting like hell because I don't care if I'm wrong on this show. And I'm wrong a lot on this show. And one thing I do is I own it. And the reason I own it when I'm wrong is we owe that to you, the fans that stick with this team and the fans that stick with us and have made Steel Curtain Network successful. So again, we can't do this without you. And we thank you so much for all the support. Jeff Hartman, Dave Schofield, 2 of my best buddies in the world. I look forward to this every single week, whether it's a holiday, whatever it is, whether it's just a regular day in June, man, we're usually with each other on a Thursday night. And if we're not, one of us is calling in. So you guys are brothers to me. I appreciate y'all. Hope your families have a very Merry Christmas. To our live chat and anybody just driving down the road right now or 2 days from now, listen to this show. God bless you. We love you all. And thanks for being a part of our Steel Curtain Network family.
Dave Schofield, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. A lot like what Brian said. It's not that the Steelers can't win. It's that they've really developed a pattern of not pulling it through, both offensively and defensively, for the last 3 games. So therefore, it's difficult to pick the team to win because they're not a winning football team right now. But the great thing about the NFL, we can see that turn around. The Steelers, I said it on Stat Geek this morning, the Steelers are one of 3 teams that are on a 3-game losing streak. And the other two teams are in the playoffs right now, if it were to start right now, and the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Philadelphia Eagles. So they're in good company. Wow. But it just kind of goes to show that you can hit that area. And what's so bad with the Steelers is that it was the level of competition what they lost to. Now, does it mean that they can't turn it around? No, they can turn it around. Does it mean they will turn it around? I don't think many are expecting them to. But on Saturday, we'll get an opportunity to see, even if they don't turn it around until the very final game heading into the offseason, that'll still make me happy about it going forward. But I want to see this team turn it around, even if the talk of the postseason, the possibility of that is gone. I'm fine with that. I just want to see this team show that they can get back on track at some point. So I'm hoping to see it Saturday. I'm not going to fall for it if they go up again 13-0 early, just because of everything. But sometimes you can just get a feel of how the team is playing, regardless of the score. And that's what I want to see on Saturday. So I'm ready to come back Saturday night talking about this team, hopefully saying, man, look at how they changed their way of what they were playing, whether it changed the outcome or not.
My early Christmas wish list is simple. I just want to see an exciting game where the Steelers are scoring some points. I can watch with my kids and they can cheer and say, like, this is fun, and not 13 points in the first quarter and then nothing. Nothing. This team is unbelievably boring. Just give us excitement for once. Yep. That's all I want. That's all I want. All right. Good show as always. Brian, Dave, Merry Christmas, everyone watching live in the live chat or wherever you're seeing this or listening to this. Hope everyone has a Merry Christmas. Be safe this holiday season. Festivus for the rest of us. Let's not forget that's the 23rd of December every year.
We can talk about that in the postgame.
Happy Festivus. Yes, I'm going to decorate the poll and we'll have an airing of grievances, I'm sure. So, yes, make sure you tune into that.
Yeah, but Brian has a different type of poll that he likes. Never mind.
All right, Dave, why don't you send us how you always do?
Hey.
We'll see you next week on another Steelers preview.
Steel Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.